A desperate voice dials 911. A black teenager walks alone. Unaware he's a reason fear is rising behind a curtain. A mother races through traffic because her son's being mistaken for something he's not. And by the time the sirens scream down the street, the damage may already be done. This isn't just a story about a call. It's about what happens when suspicion moves faster than the truth. Stay with us to hear the full story. And drop a comment to let us know where you're watching from. The late afternoon sun spilled its golden light over Brookstone Meadows, a wealthy suburb tucked into Raleigh, North Carolina. This was the kind of neighborhood where hedges looked sculpted by artists, where concrete gleamed like it was waxed, and silence wrapped around every cul-de-sac like a blanket. Peaceful, perfect, almost staged. 16-year-old Malik Turner shifted the weight of his gym bag on his shoulder, music pumping through his headphones loud enough to drown out the world. He was drained. Basketball practice at Lincoln Central High had run long, and his legs ached from drills that pushed him past empty. Normally, he'd ride the city bus home. But today, he felt like walking. He cut through Brookstone, a shortcut he'd taken before. His best friend lived close, just past a row of sleek houses and tidy porches. But he wasn't naive. He understood this neighborhood had a rhythm, and his presence, it wasn't part of it. Behind a wide pane of spotless glass, nestled in a house that looked pulled from a catalog, Marcia Whitmore stood still and watched. Marcia wasn't new to Willow Creek Estate's home. She had lived there for over 15 years. She could recognize her neighbors by the sound of their footsteps and predict the cars before they turned the corner. But today, something felt off. A teenage boy, black, tall, athletic, walked past alone, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. A flicker of unease rose in her chest. Was it worry or something harder to admit? Her fingers hovered over her phone. Maybe he was just cutting through. Maybe he knew someone here. But doubt took root fast and firm. What if he wasn't? What if she said nothing and woke up to sirens or headlines? A knot formed in her stomach. She told herself it was caution, not fear. Better to act now just in case. She drew in a breath, slow and heavy, then made the call. "Hi, I'd like to report someone suspicious walking through the neighborhood." What Marcia didn't realize, what she couldn't possibly know, was that the boy she was watching wasn't just some stranger. And his mother? Not someone you wanted to misjudge. She tracked his steps through the window as she spoke, her grip on the phone tightening. He's walking along the sidewalk, glancing at the houses like he's checking them out. I've never seen him before, and he's carrying a bag. What started as a call for caution was about to become something far bigger. The dispatcher's voice stayed composed, even as tension crept into Marcia's tone. "Can you give me a description?" She hesitated, chewing the inside of her cheek. "He's tall, black, wearing a hoodie, gym shorts. He's got a bag with him. I don't know, it just feels off." The dispatcher pressed gently. "Is he doing anything threatening? Illegal?" Marcia's voice dropped, unsure. "No, not exactly. But I've never seen him before, and this area is usually quiet." That was enough. The dispatcher assured her a unit was en route. Marcia ended the call, still staring through the glass as Malik paused at the corner, scrolling his phone to change songs, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. Just a few blocks away, Officers Harris and Mason cruised through their regular patrol. The radio crackled. Possible suspicious individual, Willow Creek Estates. Young black male, mid-teens, carrying a bag. Harris, thick-set and seasoned from years on the job, exchanged a quick look with Mason, the rookie beside him. "Let's roll." Lights flipped on. The cruiser made a sharp turn toward the neighborhood. Malik was less than 2 streets from his house when the piercing wail of a siren jolted the air behind him. He turned instinctively, confused, just as the police vehicle screeched to a stop at the curb. Doors slammed open. "Hey!" "Stop right there." Malik froze, yanking out his earbuds. 2 officers advanced fast, hands hovering near their belts. "What's in the bag?" Harris barked. Malik's breath hitched. My basketball stuff." "Where you going?" "Home," he said calmly, but his heartbeat betrayed him. Quick, tight, and rising. He could feel it in his bones. This wasn't some casual stop. Mason took a step forward. You live around here? Yes, sir. Just a few streets down, Malik replied, voice steady but tight. Harris snorted. Is that so? What's the address? Malik opened his mouth to respond, but before the words came out, Mason yanked the bag off his shoulder. Hey, that's my stuff. Chill, Harris muttered as he unzipped the bag, fingers digging through the contents. Sneakers, a damp jersey, a half-empty water bottle. Nothing unusual, nothing criminal. Still, Harris didn't back off. So, why are you walking through this part of town? Malik's chest tightened. It's just a shortcut. I'm not doing anything wrong. Mason shot Harris a look, his voice lower now. Could be telling the truth. Harris didn't blink. Then why'd someone call him in? Malik didn't get the chance to answer. His eyes had already drifted past him. A sleek black SUV was creeping toward the scene. It came to a stop, fast and sharp. The doors opened, and out stepped a woman neither cop recognized, but one who'd change everything. Camille Turner, Malik's mother, and the sitting mayor of Columbus. Only Marcia didn't know, and the officers had no clue who they had just profiled. The air shifted instantly, charged, expectant. Camille stepped out of the SUV in a crisp navy blazer and heels that struck the pavement like punctuation. She didn't rush, didn't raise her voice. She walked with the calm confidence of a woman who'd spent her life walking into rooms that underestimated her and leaving them corrected. Her gaze zeroed in on the two officers hovering over her son, shoulders squared, eyes sharp, no hesitation. Harris stiffened the moment he recognized her. He'd seen that face on TV, at public hearings, press conferences, but it didn't click fast enough. Mason beat him to it. Ma'am, please step back. We're in the middle of something. Camille didn't so much as blink. Oh, I can see that. Her tone was calm, but laced with something unmistakable. Steel beneath satin. And what exactly are you in the middle of? Malik let out a breath. His chest rose with quiet relief. Mom. She raised one hand. Not now. She had it under control. Harris cleared his throat. We got a report of a suspicious person walking the area. Her eyebrow lifted. Suspicious. Mason motioned toward Malik. We just needed to verify if he actually lived here. Camille inhaled slowly, deliberately. Then she reached into her purse, pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. She held it up like a mic drop. That's my son. On display, Malik's school ID, their home address, and a photo of them, standing side by side at a citywide fundraiser just weeks ago. Silence. Mason shifted, visibly uncomfortable. Harris clenched his jaw but said nothing. But Camille wasn't finished. Let me ask again, did you stop him because he was suspicious or because someone thought he didn't belong? No one answered, and behind them, the weight of the moment said everything. Marcia stood rooted to the spot, her hand still clutching the doorframe, as if letting go would somehow undo what she'd just watched. The moment she saw the woman step out of that sleek SUV, her breath caught. Camille, not just Malik's mother, the mayor. The realization hit her like cold water. She hadn't called the police on some stranger. She'd called on her son, a boy walking home, a child with headphones and a gym bag. And now, the scene in front of her had flipped. The mayor wasn't shouting. She didn't need to. She stood there, poised, deliberate, gazing at the two officers who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. But silence didn't mean surrender. Camille took a single step forward, eyes pinned to them like a spotlight. The weight of the street had changed. It was as if the entire block was holding its breath, waiting to see how this would end. No yelling, no threats, just a voice that cut like truth. You rifled through his things, questioned his address, and all because you decided he didn't belong here. Harris straightened up. We followed protocol. Camille tilted her head, the smallest movement. Protocol? Mason glanced at the pavement. We got a call, said he looked suspicious. Another step from Camille, controlled, grounded, a teenager, walking home, in his own city. Neither of them spoke. Malik rubbed his hands, the sting of judgment still lingering, the kind that didn't fade just because no one raised their voice. And then Camille turned. Her gaze found Marcia, still standing motionless behind her door. Was it you? The question landed like thunder. Marcia's mouth opened, then closed. Words failed. And for once, silence said everything. The gravity of it all hit Marcia like a wave she couldn't escape. Her throat tightened. This wasn't what she intended. Not this. Not him. She wasn't that kind of person. She didn't think she was. Anyway, she thought she was just being alert, careful. But now, watching this woman, this mother, stand in front of her son, the truth cracked through all her excuses. Camille had left her office, crossed half the city, and now stood in the middle of her own neighborhood defending her child from nothing more than a walk home. And Marcia was the reason. Her face flushed. She tried to speak. I just thought... Camille cut her off, voice steady and sharp. You thought what exactly? There was no version of that sentence Marcia could finish that didn't make her sound like the very thing she had always insisted she wasn't. The kind of person who assumes. Camille didn't look away. Do you realize what this could have turned into? Marcia lowered her eyes. My son could have been cuffed, pushed to the ground, labeled a threat, all because someone decided he didn't fit the picture of this neighborhood. The officers stood still, silent, and they knew. Marcia knew it too, long before Camille even finished the sentence. And when she did, the air turned still. But Harris didn't apologize. He shifted his stance, almost offensive. If there's nothing further, we'll be leaving now. Camille scoffed under her breath. That's it. Mason tried to salvage it. We were just answering the call. Camille's voice dropped. Yeah, you did. She turned toward her son, placing a calm hand on his shoulder. Come on, baby. Let's go. Malik slung his bag back into place. He didn't say a word. He just followed his mother, quiet, heavy, and knowing, toward the SUV that waited for them like safety in a storm. The officers turned without a word, heading back to their cruiser with stiff shoulders and hushed grumbles. Marcia stayed frozen on her doorstep, arms folded tight like they were holding her together. She watched the squad car disappear down the street, but the silence it left behind wasn't peace. It was a sound of something deeper unraveling. But for Malik, for Camille, and for every black family that's ever had to prove they belong where they already are, this wasn't just another incident. It was a scar added to a growing list. The car ride home was quiet. Malik sat motionless in the passenger seat, his gaze fixed on the window, replaying it all like a loop he couldn't turn off. The sirens, the bag search, the way those officers stared at him like he was invisible, or worse, like he was dangerous. Camille kept both hands on the wheel, knuckles white. She always knew this day would come. She just prayed it wouldn't come this soon. After a long silence, she finally asked, You all right? Malik exhaled slowly. I don't know. She nodded, eyes fixed on the road. I hear you. He turned to face her, voice quiet but sharp. What if you didn't show up? The question landed hard. Camille's stomach twisted. She had no answer she could say out loud. Instead, she reached across the console and took his hand, giving a firm, reassuring squeeze. You did everything right, she said softly. Malik let out a bitter laugh, then looked down, and it still wasn't enough. She looked at him then, really looked at him, a 16-year-old boy, still in gym clothes, still breathing heavy from basketball practice, now carrying the weight of a world that should have never pressed down on him in the first place. She knew this wasn't just about today. It was about every headline. Every young black boy mistaken for a threat. Every parent forced to have the talk, not about dreams, but about survival. It was about the rules their children had to memorize just to make a home alive, because the world too often saw their skin before their soul. Across town, Marcia sat motionless on her couch, phone clutched in her hands. The same device she'd used to dial 911. The same one that, had the moment gone differently, could have played a part in the tragedy. Her stomach churned. She had told herself she was being responsible, that she was just looking out for her neighborhood. But sitting there now, with the quiet swallowing her thoughts, a deeper truth crept in. She hadn't been protecting anything. She'd been scared, and for the first time in her life, She asked herself, scared of what? She stared down at the glow of her screen, the reflection of her own face looking back. And then came the question she'd spent years avoiding. What if the real threat wasn't him? What if it was me? Because how many calls like hers have ended in tears and yellow tape? How many kids like Malik don't make it home? How many parents never get there in time? And how many people like Marshall walk away, never once having to carry the weight of what could have happened? This wasn't just a one-off. This was a pattern. A truth too many pretend not to see. So maybe it's time we stop looking away. Maybe it's time we confront the discomfort, feel it, own it, and do better. If this story sparks something inside you, even just a flicker, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Speak on it. Learn from it. Because next time, the ending might not be as merciful as Malik's. If this story pulled something in you, like and subscribe, and don't forget to share with others. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.